Okay, we're gonna try that again. I'm cute with this technology stuff. Um, Hi, it's Honeybee Henderson, and welcome to Wake Up Wednesdays. I'm so excited today to be joined with a beautiful sister, Anaiya Pistis Sophia. She's on, and let's bring her on camera and see. Let's see, add. That's gonna invite Anaiya. Let's hope it works. Oh my goodness, it's technology. I've been watching, Anaiya's been very vocal and supportive and sharing a lot of different information from sacred initiations with the body. And goodness, it looks like my Wi-Fi or hers is not jamming right now. Anaiya is a woman that has become just so dear to my heart and such a pleasure because she always shares her experience so authentically with what's going on in life. Is she already on the broadcast, it says. Let's see when's. Okay.
I think this is working.
Yay! Super! We did it!
Wow.
Great. And it's side by side, which I'm very happy to see.
Yeah.
Right.
That's better.
This beauty.
Hands free now.
Okay, hands free. It's much better. Okay, great. So I was just introducing you, but I want to give you some time and space to share a little bit about yourself, and I just want to say thank you so much for not only coming and sharing today about this really beautiful sacred rite of passage, but for all the love and support that you've given me personally and so many women in really opening up into who we are as women and feeling the raw, the vulnerable, the messy, beauty, the sensual, the seductress, the virgin, all of it. I really thank you for the work that you do.
Oh, thank you so much, Honeybee. I feel the same. I love your post, your rawness, your unpredictability. And I'm really exceptionally excited and really ready to share this really important journey. Because I don't know about anyone else, but I had no clue. My mum said nothing about this. The ladies from the older generation, they also didn't mention much, apart from, the roll of the eyes and like, oh, you're in menopause. And that was like,
it's like, I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
You said that your mom actually, someone asked about the connection with the mother's menopause, and you said, my mother, what did she tell you exactly?
Well, basically along the lines of, you have to put up with it. You have to learn to live with it, that it's just like an inconvenience that's happening in the background, that everything carries on as normal. And I'm sat here going, how did you do that?
Like you're,
Yeah. And if we go back a generation further to my grandma, it wasn't even spoken about amongst girlfriends, let alone partners. You just went into this process all by yourself and just endured it.
So what do you think has shifted? What shifted then from our grandmother's generation, where it became such a hidden thing between women, and now where we are, where women like you, and we're all curious and we want to know, what are the shifts on both sides that you see?
I think this is one of the greatest aspects of healing our sexuality. Our guilt and shame and awkwardness, and it's melted. It's melted away. So now this second big conversation can be spoken, with great ease. We can speak about it to our partners. We can speak about it to our families and kids, because that very base layer of guilt and shame, of sexuality, of bodies, and bodily behavior, it's melting away nicely.
Yeah, well, you're really one of the shepherds in this. I thank you for that.
Mhm.
Just want to tell our friends that are watching, if you have any questions for Anaiya, please post them in the comments, and we'll get to them as we evolve in this conversation.
Yeah.
So tell me, where are you in the process of menopause?
I am well over the halfway point.
Okay,
I I have a feeling I got about 2 more years left to go. I've already done 5.
5 years. Okay,
I
my
get
goodness.
the merit badge.
Wow, congratulations and holy
Um,
wow.
this summer, the beginning of the in Britain we say hot flush. In the States, you guys say hot flash. Same thing. So this summer, these hot flushes started to really roll in. I have been experiencing them for a year, but I really and truly thought they were Kundalini surges.
Uh,
And because I'm a Kundalini teacher, I didn't really pay any attention to them. But then when
right.
they just started happening for no reason whatsoever, then I realized, oh, here we go. Here we go. And this has been a gear change. Once these hot flashes start showing up, you really go to the next level of the process.
Okay, well, before we get to the hot flashes and to this point, take me
Yes.
back 5 years ago, because I think this is the piece that I'm in conversation a lot. I'm 42 years old. My cycle is starting to get shorter, but
Yeah.
it's consistent.
Mm.
I'm noticing more spikes in my moods. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with anything or what. So these are the what is the beginning stages? What can we expect? So 5 years ago, what was happening?
Well, what I noticed with my cycle, it did exactly what you described. It got more and more sparse and more unpredictable. I
Oh,
used to be
okay.
able to predict easily every month. And then it was like a feeling of waning. And along with that, accompanying that, was a little bit of a no bullshit attitude. My patience levels had
Uh-huh,
dropped.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
um, there was this kind of like an irritability, and a little bit of a like a darker cloud. But it was good because I had been such a sort of people pleaser. So it was quite good to have this new side of my character starting to show. After the periods were waning, the
Mhm.
next phase is flooding. So now the moon cycle sort of like doubles up in flow.
Mm.
You just have like this tidal wave of moon blood that you can't seem to sort of mop up or contain in your cup. And
Wow.
that's what they call flooding.
Okay.
So I didn't have cramps. It was just like, where is this amount of blood coming from? And it was every month huge and
Wow.
lots of accidents. So you'd be out in public, the moon cycle would begin, you're unprepared, and hey, voila, it's everywhere.
Really? Oh, and just gushing out. My
Yeah,
goodness.
and like on chairs, wherever you are, so is it.
Right. And no predictability with that
No,
for you.
no, just, it decided when it was time to bleed.
And was there the emotional component to this piece? Um, is there grief that comes up that, wow, this is ending soon, or?
No, no, I didn't experience that. Um,
Mm,
I was still, there was just like a darker side to me. It was like I was brooding.
mm.
There was like a foreboding edge in my character, like thunder
Okay.
threatening to come in. I just wasn't joyful anymore. I wasn't joyful.
Oh,
I wasn't playful. I wasn't as light-hearted as I knew myself to be. But I thought it was just the person I was hanging out with. I was like, he makes me this way. I really didn't realize that that was the
Perhaps a little of
perimenopause
that.
phase. Yeah, perimenopause. That is so, so typical that the periods become unpredictable. First they're sparse, then they're flooding, and the character, I wouldn't call myself emotional at this point, but just as I said, in a bit of a storm, always on the horizon. But it never erupted. I never allowed the fierce feminine, but she was growing. There was an unrest. That's a good word. Nothing
Wow. Tell me,
pleased me anymore.
but is this your first long-term connection with the fierce feminine? Is this the first time in your life during this period where you were experiencing her?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And during this phase I had to do some very badass decision making and had to confront many things. And so I had this part of me now that was starting to show itself. So as soon as it showed itself, I kind of like utilized it and made it work in the right direction. I had a power now, but it was still a baby power. Nothing to what I have now.
Okay, so take us through the passage through to full blown menopause, and maybe we can also weave in the sex and sexuality and some of these things. I'm gonna give you the.
I would say during the perimenopause phase, my desire was starting to wane. Along with the bleeding, as the bleeding began to wane, my desire began to wane. Once I'd got going, literally, once the sexual act had begun, I was up and away and enjoying myself. But the hormonal desire wasn't there because the hormones weren't being created, you see. My desire was going down, but I didn't really notice because I'd find myself in the act, and it's a bit like riding a bike. Off you go.
And your body also was juicy during this time, and this wasn't.
And still, thank God, to this moment, I'm checking regularly. Everything's still operative.
Okay.
What I also noticed about the body, I noticed cellulite really appearing on the back of the thighs.
Okay.
And I noticed that there was just this band in the lower abdomen that was just starting to be a little bit extra loose.
Oh, interesting.
And this was interesting because I started to dislike the body. I started to judge the body a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. And
this is a big piece of your work too.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I couldn't believe it. When I turned around one day and saw those wriggly lines at the back of my thighs, oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, it was a very honest and sorrowful moment because here it is. This is the beginning now. We're going into the aging process. And I want to, and I'm sure I will, do the whole thing naturally. So no, nothing. Let's just do this.
So up until this point, maybe this is a good question and a reminder if you're watching and you have questions. I'm trying to figure that out, but we'd love to help answer anything that you guys have questions, you ladies or men have questions on. What are some of the supportive supplements or herbs or at this point? So now we're taking you up until just before the hot flashes.
Yes. What I was doing at this point, and it's still just the one supplement, I'm taking something from Dr. Christine Northrup. She wrote Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. And I think it's something like Amateur Life or Amateur Life. It's a menopause supplement. I've been on it from day one, and this is enough. This is fine for me. I'm really not keen on the HRT. I don't want the artificial hormones. I just don't. My body says no.
Okay. This, I have heard her supplement is quite great. I've had a couple of sisters saying they use this and it's really helped.
Yeah.
To feel balanced, or does it I guess it just keeps the body in a natural.
Yeah, for my main concern has been the emotions. I've had a really emotional rock and roller coaster, a real upsurge and an uproar. So this supplement absolutely keeps me stable. And
Great.
another very
Okay.
important piece is, as you know, I'm in a relationship. I'm married to Pete. Now that the hot
Is it,
flush has come, I have to
uh,
have my bedroom back.
okay,
Uh,
okay,
yeah,
sleeping alone now.
absolutely.
Needs to, okay.
This has given us such a new sort of lease of life, because at night
Uh,
there's so much psychic activity, and
mhm.
it's only right, and it's so healthy for both of us to just have our nighttime space to heal,
Mm,
open, and breathe and rest.
right.
And so what I've done is I've made my bedroom like a womb cave. And there's
Great.
like sort of like memorabilia of, what I'm going through. And when it all
Hmm.
gets a little bit too much, I just retreat back to my womb cave and realize, on certain days, you just can't. You just can't function. You just can't. And you shouldn't. And you ought not to push
Right.
through. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I love that you shared on, I think it was the video that you and Pete did, was that you had, or maybe you told me this personally, I'm not sure, but that you had some friends visiting and you just you weren't able to come down.
No, 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 no.
But
They
listening to that is such a gift.
These beautiful ladies were friends, but I had done the Sacred Body facilitators training with them in the summer. So
Okay.
there's a contract there. I,
Yes.
I guided them into something. I'm their guide. Now, if they would have seen me in that state, I think I would have frightened them.
Really?
And so I did it for myself, but I also did it for them. It's
Mm.
best that they remember me how I was. If they were real, through and through girlfriends, of course, I'd have said, come on up. But
Yeah.
because I'm guiding, I can't let
Yes.
them see me. There's too much at stake.
Yeah. What I would, well, also a question or just ask about that is that it's like you've just provided them this certain rite of passage to support other women, and it's like let that digest and integrate before they blast up too quickly to the next rite of passage. Like let's take time with this one.
That's right. And
So
also holding them, you know,
yes,
holding them at the moment as they go through what they need to go through so that they can go off and teach the sacred body. So if
right,
they see that I've
right.
derailed, they've got no solid ground. And it's
Yes,
too quick to show them that side of me.
yes, I
I sent
completely,
messages by
actually.
Pete and I was texting them.
I'm upstairs, but but what a gift for me just to hear that story and how you just said this is not possible for me right now. It's
Yeah.
actually quite an honoring of what you're going through and what's right for the container that you hold, and you have shepherded so many of us through this passage.
Mm.
So I appreciate that.
Mm. And it also gives other ladies, if they simply don't want to, they
Mm,
don't have to. If it doesn't feel
right,
right, don't do it.
right.
Yeah.
That's always good medicine.
Yeah.
So let's come back to the hot flashes and
Mm.
when you started moving into full-blown menopause, which you say you have 2 more years. So what do you feel is the duration and yeah, what's
Well,
the outlook here and what have you been through?
apparently, when you're into the last phase of menopause, that is when your periods stop completely. And then you're looking at a 2-year phase of the hot flushes. Along with the hot flushes comes, for me, very strong, is heart palpitations.
Mm.
Now, if you don't know that's coming and you have one, it is very, very frightening. You think you've got something wrong with your heart. It just
Sure.
speeds up. And you can put your hand on your chest and you can actually see your skin moving.
Oh, wow, it's strong
Very
beats.
frightening. Very frightening when it first comes, but it's such a common not side effect, it's such a common hallmark of the process.
Sure.
And what I find interesting, obviously I'm reading my menopausal books, the womb is sending all of her energy up to the heart. So all of that hormonal cycle, all of that blood cycle, all of that expansion and contraction cycle is now coming all the way up to the heart. And that is why the heart beats so fast. It's receiving an influx of energy that was down in the uterus, down in the womb.
But so then this does to me still sound like Kundalini energy. Does it feel different to you than that?
No, it doesn't. It feels exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. So for me, I don't mind the hot flushes at all. I have a lot of fun with them.
Tell me about that. Tell me about the fun you have with them.
Well, whenever they come, I always pay attention, close my eyes, go within, and I'll say something like, okay, well, there goes another layer of fakery. There goes another glamour or another, just something that's false, something that was woman-made, man-made, woman-made.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah.
So what I spoke with an elder who was living in Hawaii. I was asking her about this process, and she said that in fact the hot flashes she feels like they were Kundalini, and when the Kundalini rises, that it would just continue, like you're saying, to dissolve these layers of, like you're saying, these false identities and different patterns, and so that you can actually ride it full into orgasm. These hot flashes. Yes, so maybe something something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I was curious about this and what you might be experiencing with that, because
well, I've been playing around. I'm wondering whether I can make them happen, by root locking, pranayama, but I haven't been able to achieve that yet. There is this something I really want to point out. This is really massive because it's been a really big focal point. And that is, for me, I lost my desire completely. So remember at the perimenopausal phase, it was starting to wane. Well, by the time, let's say about a year ago, I lost my desire completely. I didn't think about lovemaking. I had no fantasies. Even if I tried to do a fantasy, nothing.
Wow, gone.
It was like a desert, a silent desert. But despite nothing happening, no arousal, I knew something was going on underneath the radar. And again, I was reading in my books that there could be a loss of libido. And the idea is to let that be. But after a couple of years, and it has been a couple of years for me, and it hasn't freaked me out saying that now, but I can see your eyes go.
I know, for me, what? Well,
the author said it would be wise to sort of start that engine going again. So definitely have your pause moment if you are a woman who is, en route to having that pause moment for some reason. Let it be. Don't worry about it. But after a certain period of time, start to bring some life back to that place. And that's what I'm doing now. And sure enough, everything's there. There's an immediate response. So the engine going well. But I must say, I still don't have the desire.
Okay. So then so then you're just creating the experiences so that that's the lovemaking will happen, and then it's just to help the body and of course to
That's
connect
right.
with your beloved. And
Yes. Yes, yes. Yeah.
would you be open to sharing a little bit about some of the experiences you're having with Pete, and just that
Mm.
along those same lines, how is this affecting your relationship? And he seems to be such an angel and really supporting and holding you through this, but you're newly together only a few
Married.
years, right? You've only been
Surprise.
married 1 year, and yeah, welcome.
I know. Oh, Honeybee, this has been the most intense part for me because
Oh man.
I prided myself on looking a certain way, acting with a lot of confidence, bringing through the sexuality, bringing through the temple. So, getting married, and that just gets taken from underneath my feet. I have nothing. It has all gone. And as you know, our house is inundated with women.
Yes.
There's women everywhere. There's women coming out of cupboards and floorboards. Women, 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 ranging from 20s to their 70s. And this was where this was my cauldron, because I'm telling myself, you have lost everything. All of your charms, all of your face, all of your body, all of your sexuality, your desire is disappearing. It's like sand coming through your fingers. And in come the most beautiful and exotic and erotic ladies. And all they want to do is take their clothes off and hug me. And what this has turned into, this fear, this uncomfortableness, this jealousy, this envy. I'm talking the whole gamut of dark feminine emotions. This tumultuous storm has now turned into the most beautiful compassion. And if ever I see a lady on the threshold just about to go into this phase, I'm going to grab her by the hand and say, sweetie, it's all in your imagination. These are your fears.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about all these ladies out here. You'll compare and contrast all of that stuff. You are just pulling out that crazy program that we've been sold. Oh, I mean, and when you stayed at the house, I had that going on.
You shared a little bit about, you shared a little bit with me
Yeah.
about that, and it was interesting to watch the dynamic, and of course I just fell in love with both of you, but seems like you all have been just a solid support for each other through this.
Absolutely. We have been into the dungeon of our fears. For me, this is the ultimate feminine fear, the loss of beauty, the loss of youth, and to be surrounded by that in other women, and knowing that that's not about to stop. This is my life.
No.
This is what I do.
Yes.
And of course, being with Pete in the dungeon of his fears. He's been to war. He has experienced parts of life we've never experienced. So our fears are meeting quite nicely. We're throwing each other life rafts. It is the most beautiful male-female love and support I've ever known. But I have been a mess. I have been an ugly mess. And I say ugly because my character has been ugly. The crap coming out of me was ugly. I'm not ugly, but what was coming out of me was ugly. It was nasty. And he just bared with me. And it's horrible. Breaking my heart. I want to be so there for the women because I love them. And yet there's this stuff inside of me wanting to turn
Uh-huh.
away and hide and not interact. It's horrible, Honeybee. But
Ah.
it does lead to something very, very sweet.
But you feel like you're in the sweet piece of this now, or is this still something that comes and affects you, or?
It can do, but it's very fleeting. It's
Okay.
very. I do believe I hope so. I hope I've surrendered.
Yeah, and who knows, right? We don't know exactly what's
Uh,
coming, but
yeah, yeah.
is
It
it
is. It's
is
a
this
heck of a lot easier.
it is what did you say?
It's a
You
heck of a
cut.
lot easier.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But I think this is what I understand that the menopause does. It zones right in on your on the biggest part of your falseness. And your
Sure.
deep pain, the deep pain that you've covered up nicely.
Right. That you made look pretty, that you, yeah, I understand.
I didn't realize how much I'd invested in my appearance.
Mm.
It's it's quite a lot, actually.
Sure. Well, it's our identity in the world. This is the conversation that I've been in with a lot of friends as we begin to go into this process, and it's like, okay, the lack of libido, the more wrinkles, the way I carry myself, the way a younger woman comes into a room and the attention goes to her, and these are conversations that I feel like a lot of us are in right now, and I know that you're half a step ahead. So I'm grateful to glean some wisdom.
Yeah.
Um, I'd love to ask just a little bit about your work with the fierce feminine, because it feels really strong, potent. Like that's
Oh my
the
God.
work that you're sharing in the world. And then any support and any tools that you would recommend to us as we move through this path and this process.
Well, I came up with some little 7 slogans for each chakra.
Oh, you
Um,
did?
yeah. So very briefly, for the root chakra, stand your ground. Stand your
Mm.
flipping ground. Do not compromise. Do not back down. Do not settle. Stand your ground. For the
Yeah.
sacral chakra, sovereign sexuality. So stay sovereign in the
Mm.
sexual act. Don't go into the patriarchy, sex program. Be who you are. The
Mm.
third one, oh yes, solar plexus. Oh yeah, that was if your yes is a yes, your no is a no, and your
Mm.
maybe is also a no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
Wow,
for
these are
the
great.
oh my gosh, what was the one for the heart? Oh, that's interesting. I've forgotten that one. Something like be true to the heart or something like that. Wasn't quite so radical as the other ones. Moving up to the throat was obviously speak your truth, break your silence. If
Mm.
if truth has to be spoken because a really outrageous act or form of behavior is happening right in front of you, we must break our silence and just speak out.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be aggressive, doesn't have to be angry. You can just break the spell, break whatever's happening. The sixth chakra, intuition. Trust our intuition. We do know if we have a little bit of an off feeling about somebody, pay attention. If we have an off feeling about an environment, a job offer, a creative project, pay attention. That's a red flag. Pay attention to your
Yes.
red flags. And then
Yes.
finally, for the crown, is deep, honest, humble prayer.
Wow. That one really hits. Mm.
And this is really interesting, Honeybee, because obviously we're living in France. Paris is kicking off like no one has ever seen, ever. We're talking about a revolution. This is not my words, this is the news channels. Even
Yes.
civil war.
Okay.
And even today, driving home today, Pete and I pulled into the gas station and there was no fuel.
Oh, really?
All the pumps were closed.
Wow.
Because, you know, this is what's going on in France at the moment. There's loads of disruption.
Yes.
It ain't far away.
No, it's not far.
No, it's not. It's not far away. And there's a great thing happening in London at the moment called Extinction Rebellion. It's a load of
What is this?
protesters demanding that the government tell the truth about the climate. You know, to stop giving us half truths and lies, but to come forward and tell us the truth.
Wow.
We're not going to panic, you know, because
No.
that's what the government says. We can't tell the truth. The public will panic.
Yeah.
We all deserve to know the actual accurate figures and lifespan of this.
Mm.
So
this is a time that you know, it's interesting. We haven't seen this before. Everything is changing and how we're growing. And you know, my work right now is in the Middle East in Jordan, and it's like watching popcorn, watching the people wake up. But it's the waking up is disrupting the structure that's been in place.
Yes.
That's sort of like how I see this Kundalini rising in these hot flushes of it's disrupting the way that we have been holding ourselves and, you know, ripping us apart so that we can just be true self.
Yes. Yes, yes.
What a passage.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What would you share with our friends that are watching and still tuned in, if you could give any wisdom or sage advice or about this sacred rite and this passage? Mike, you've given us so much, but it's the last nugget.
I would say the greatest gift, if you're at the perimenopause or on the threshold you're about to go in, realize that this process is going to take you in to yourself. You are going to be really encouraged to retreat inward, to really attend to self in such a deep, nourishing and honest way. So maybe start creating that moon cave, you know, that moon cave, that womb cave. You're going to need a little sanctuary, a little refuge, a little cubby hole to retreat into. And I have done a lot of crazy spiritual and fasting activities in my whole life. This initiation of menopause is frigging up there. It is up there. It is up there with the most psychedelic, the most lucid, the most, oh my God, I have no idea what's going to happen next. It is an epiphany. I am amazed by this process. It is unyielding and rigorous. It goes everywhere.
Wow.
And surrender is key, and honesty is key, and do not fight it, and do not make yourself do stuff that you don't want to do as it starts rolling in, because this is what it's going to show you. It's going to show you what you don't like and what you don't want to be part of anymore. But if you're invested into it, it's going to be a war. And she, the menopause, is going to win.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm so grateful. And the Fierce Feminine, this is what's been the most current work that you've been bringing out and sharing. And
yes, this will be coming out in the fall of next year. It's taken a long while for it to be published. It's been ready for a long time, but sitting on it for a while. And this is the voice. This is what the menopause has torn from me, limb from limb.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have a feeling I'm going to carry on in this way. Sort of leave this sort of sacred sexuality
Okay.
for the younger ladies. I need to attend to something else. Something else wants to come in.
Is there any part of you that feels a loss with that, or does it? Yeah, Jocelyn says she's so excited. Me too, to read this next book. Is there any part of you that feels like a loss with that, or does it just feel like a chapter is closed?
No, it maybe a sweet lostness, sweet farewell. It's a bit like I can imagine your beautiful daughter goes off to college or uni, and you sort of see her. You know, I often see myself at the front door, and this beautiful young version of myself is like, "Bye, Mom. Bye. I'm so excited." And I'm like, "Bye, sweetie. You're going to have an amazing time." And I'm sad because I'm losing my daughter, but I'm like, "Oh my God, she is about to begin." And then I close my door, and then I turn and tend to something else.
Oh, beautiful.
I've had a good innings. I've had a good run.
Well, you always inspire me. Since the moment I met you, and just the grace which it seems that you carry life, and with all of it, you know, I just see you as this woman that's not afraid to dive deep into the mystery and to discover these new and exciting pieces and parts of yourself, how you reclaim yourself, and then, you know, my greatest treasure is that you share it with us. So thank you for that. Wow.
Thank you,
So
Honeybee.
grateful.
Thank you for asking these questions, making it so accessible, being there as a friend.
Yeah, well, we need each other in these times. And like you, my mother actually had a complete hysterectomy at the age of 29 and was immediately put on hormone replacement until her mid-60s. So I didn't have any of this information, and I feel like we're walking around in the dark, and I want this conversation to be alive for us who are going into perimenopause, who are, you know, it's just the next chapter, and I want to go in with eyes open and see what's available for me too. So thank you for your time.
Yeah. The great gift is of creativity. Creativity, sort of like outrageousness. You have this edge. You really don't care anymore what anyone thinks about your actions, what you're saying, what you're wearing. It's really fun. It's really fun. Yeah.
But you know, and of course, you know, that's the same as that sexual energy. It's just shifted, right?
Yeah.
So this elder that I was speaking about earlier, Mary, who said all these hot flashes were orgasmic, she also said that at one point she stopped needing a partner because she was making love with the rocks and being sent to the cosmos as she laid on the earth. And, you know, it was just like this constant pulse of life that was being moved through her. So I can how beautiful.
Some of the older ladies who've been out, come out the other side, they've said to me, do not worry about your desire. It will return, and it will be even better than you've ever known. A new facet. It's not going to be the same, but it's going to be a new facet of yourself. So it's like, okay, I'll hang in there then.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, keep informed, and if anyone needs, we have some amazing comments from friends about different supplements to take, and if you all have any questions for Anaiya, you can find her on Facebook, on Instagram, on your website, which is your name, or
yeah. And you can always write your question, and I'll stay looking at the thread and answer where I can.
Great. Thank you so much, my angel. I love you so deeply. in every cell of my body. So grateful for you and the work that you do. And thanks for joining us today with Wake Up Wednesdays. See you all next week. Many blessings. Thank you.